Yes, we can see that price did in fact ultimately push close to 300 pips upon entry, but it was the basis of sticking to our criteria. One thing that you will learn about me, especially in how I send the trades, it is very criteria based. There is no subjectiveness involved. It's not about how I feel. The trades has to fit the criteria. Even though we confirmed the entry is only one part of the picture. The big goal here is to make sure that everything is fitting as one and is staying consistent. And so in something like this, it's nice to see that we did in fact see a continued movement as expected. And it doesn't matter if this looks like a really nice play with a really nice confirmed entry. It's about making sure that from the longer time frames down to the shorter, everything is staying consistent. And market was an impulse, but the prior daily candle did in fact start to give us some rejection off of this region, giving us a potential chance to rally this back to the tops, and who knows, potentially look to create a new high and develop a trend. But thing to keep in mind is that we are moving into the end of the week. For me, it's not appropriate, especially in these times, in these volatile times, to be holding over the weekend, and instead to sticking to our guns and protecting capital to the best of our ability. Now, dropping to the 4-hour time frame, what we can see here is that we did get that initial surge, which, as I've explained before, is just simply an impulse. And so any counter movement is going to be developed as profit-taking relief or developing your higher low for a potential higher high. What we can see is exactly that. We can see this entire movement was considered as relief or profit-taking for a potential fourth point. Have to be mindful that I'm saying potential. Nothing is granted in this game. Those are the statistics that we are playing with. Now, we did get a super sweet entry, and unfortunately, this trade just didn't give us the push that we had anticipated. Now, what we can see, though, is upon entry, and I'm going to take it back a couple more candles, actually, we can see that we were up just under 50 pips, which was initially a very nice push to begin the New York session. Can see here that price was trending just at 50 pips, but be mindful, we are in that super critical region from that lower high in the daily, which is the weekly, lower high from the weekly that the weekly candle did not close, all the way up to that lower high on the weekly as well. Want to be very mindful and very critical of that. And so for me, price did in fact give us a chance to adjust our stops as we did create a new point within structure in this small short-term impulse. And so it made it really sweet to simply just put stops to break even and say, you know what, if we get the push, rock and roll. If we get taken out of break even, no issues either. For that main fact that we are moving into the weekend, it has been a good week for us. Ultimately, we don't want to be giving away any prior gains, and we can simply reassess in the following week. We can see a couple candles later, unfortunately, not a couple candles, one candle later, it did take us out, but you guys can see that it was the appropriate move because you can see the following candle now started to push back below our entry, which would have put us into the red. And secondly, we're not trying to hold that into the weekend. So moving our stops to break even was the appropriate stance. I made that update for you legends, and I know you legends were looking to do the same. And so I commend you to those who did shut it down, who did simply say, you know what, this has been a good week. It's time to move on to the following. And so overall, it was a solid week. As you